Hi guys, hope you're all okay. As promised, I'm reading to you from the classroom today. You'll recognise our book corner with our life-size Elvis, which every good classroom should have, of course. So it feels a bit weird being in here without you and an empty carpet, but hopefully you are listening at home. So yesterday we left Stan and Eddie getting to work, and Annie had just walked in. Chapter 7. Annie had a party tea in her shopping bag. Cheese straws, sausage rolls, lemonade, chocolate tea cakes, and a cake with happy birthday ice on it, and a bag of candles. She pulled a few pallets together for a table. She used fish tin labels as napkins. She set upside-down buckets as chairs. She laid the birthday tea out, and it looked so lovely. The loveliest thing there had been in this house since the canning began. She smiled in satisfaction. When she went to the central control panel, found the enormous lever with master switch written on it, reached up and pulled it down. The machines came to a sudden stop. "Sabotage!" yelled Ernie. "Get ready to fight back. They won't—" "It isn't sabotage," said Annie calmly. "It's tea time." "Tea time?" said Ernie. "Don't you realise we're living through a time of our nephew's birthday?" Annie said. "So take a break and come to tea." Ernie glared, sputtered, gasped. "But there's—" Annie went over to him and kissed his cheek. "This is special," she said, "so pipe down for once." Stan detached himself from his machine. Half in a daze, he walked towards the lovely things laid out on the pallets. Annie clapped her hands. "This is our nephew, Stan," she said to her husband, "and he is rather more important than our fish." "I've got fish of my own, Auntie Annie," said Stan. He showed her his goldfish and told the story of how he got them. "Oh, they're gorgeous," said Annie. "They're the most beautiful fish in the whole wide world." Stan put the bucket by the pallets, and as they ate, they kept looking down at the goldfish and praising them. All except Ernie, of course. He couldn't eat at all. The memory of the investigator's visit rushed and rolled and rocked through his brain. "Calm down, Ernie," Annie kept saying. "Calm down and eat some cake." But he couldn't calm down. The cake was like dust in his mouth. How could he tell his family about Clarence P. Clapp? How could he face up to the catastrophe? He clenched his fist tight. He needed a plot, a plan. The goldfish flickered and flashed below him. He dipped his hand into the bucket and felt their tiny tails and fins against his fingers. "We need a new line," he declared. "A what?" said Annie. "We've got to move on from pilchards and cod." "Move on to what?" said Annie. "And why?" "'Cause we're under attack," said Ernie. Annie shook her head. "What on earth are you on about?" Suddenly there was a hammering at the front door, then silence. "What's that?" said Annie. She got up and headed to the door. "Don't go," yelled Ernie. "Don't let them in." "Don't let who in?" said Annie. "Them," said Ernie. "Who?" said Annie. She opened the door. There was nobody there. Just a white van driving quickly away. Then she saw it. A notice nailed to the door. Daft. It is hereby declared this 31st day of June that a madman known as Mr. Silent has been discovered to be up to fishy stuff in his dwelling at 69 Fish Key Lane, and therefore that madman and his family, if any, is hereby served with a first, last, and final warning. All fishy stuff must stop immediately. Chapter 8. When he saw the notice, Ernie jumped up into a gutting machine. He waved his fists in the air. "No surrender," he yelled. "We'll fight them in the bedrooms, and we'll fight them in the kitchen, and we'll fight them in the hall. We'll build barricades and booby traps. No surrender, no surrender. God and justice are on our side." "No, they're not," said Annie. "There's nothing but daftness on our side. Look at what we've done to our lovely home." "But look what it's bought us," boomed Ernie. "Look at this thriving business. We've got cash in our pockets and food on our table." "Table?" yelled Annie. "We haven't even got a table." Quietly Stan backed into his cupboard with a piece of birthday cake. He crumbled fragments of the cake and fed it to his fish. Their little mouths opened and closed just like they were singing happy birthday to him, and Stan softly sang along. He held his hand in the water and tickled and stroked the goldfish. They rose to the surface and peered out at him with tiny dark eyes. "You're my best friends," he whispered. Outside, Ernie thundered about the sales of sardines, the markup on mackerel, the profits of pilchards. Stan shook his head. "Those fish don't matter," he whispered. "Goldfish are the fish that matter. Goldfish are gorgeous. Goldfish are great." The 13 fish wriggled and waved in the water, just like they understood. Stan giggled and smiled at them. He was sure that if they could, they'd smile back. All went deadly quiet outside. No machines, no chanting or singing or arguing. Annie came to Stan's cupboard door. "Your uncle's thinking," she whispered. "Thinking about what?" Stan whispered back. "Just thinking," said Annie. They listened to the silence together for a moment. "Maybe thinking that it'll bring him back to his senses," said Annie. "Let's hope so," said Stan. And he sighed and smiled, and Annie stroked his hair, and the goldfish swam in a little shoal around his hand. Chapter 9. Well, how can we watch what happens next? How can we read of such dastardly deeds and sinfulness and tragedy? What could be so awful, you may well ask? Oh, innocent reader, just do your job and read. Just listen, just watch, or close the book and go away. Turn to happier tales. Leave these soon-to-be doom-laden pages behind. Go quickly. Otherwise, read on. It's deep into the night. All seems calm in 69 Fishkey Lane. Stands in his cupboard fast asleep. He dreams of ducks and fish in a bucket, and of a girl's eye peeping through a peephole in the dust. Annie snoozes too. Her dreams are of how things used to be. She holds the hand of her husband and her nephew, and they walk and laugh beside the glittering river. There are great half-built ships standing there. There are men at work. There are fish and chip suppers on the quay. There are no fish canning machines. Ernie's voice is raised in gentle laughter. Ernie doesn't sleep. He doesn't laugh. He perches on a filleting machine. He thinks and thinks, and he thinks a vision comes to him, a glorious, wonderful, and awful vision. He knows that he should reject it, and he should ignore it, that he should fight it off. And he does try. Indeed he does. He mutters to himself, "No." He clenches his fists, "No." All around, his machines are slumbering. There are gentle crackles of electricity, gurgles of water, hisses of steam. Ernie knows that the machines are his, that they are waiting, that they will do his will. He knows that they could make his vision real, but he continues to fight it. "No, I can't, no." The night thickens and deepens, and the vision comes again, and again, and again, and Ernie mutters, "No, no, no." And then it's almost dawn, the stillest hour, the deadest hour, the darkest portion of the night. "No," he whispers once again. But even as he whispers it, he's stepping down from the filleting machine. He's tiptoeing past the sleeping wife. He's tiptoeing towards his sleeping nephew's door. He has a frying pan in his hand. And the machines are sighing, half in horror, half in joy, at what their master is about to do. "Be brave," he whispers to himself, as he creeps slowly towards the cupboard door. "Yes, it's dreadful, but it's for the best. Yes, it's cruel, but it'll make us rich. It'll make us famous. Then nobody will be able to shut us down. Nobody will ever be able to take anything from us again. Do it, Ernie, do it. Do it for the future. Do it for the family. Do it for poor, poor little Stan." He opens the door. A shaft of moonlight shines it in upon the sleeping boy and falls across the bucket. There they are, the beautiful, tender, golden ones. By now, Ernie is deep inside his own vision. There's no resistance left. He grins as he reaches down into the water, as he catches the fish one by one, as he puts them one by one into the pan. He catches 12. They lie, gasping and writhing and squirming in the pan. The 13th dodges and dives in the water, flicking free of Ernie's fingers again and again. He clicks his tongue and grunts. "Keep still, you pesky." The boy stirs in his sleep. Ernie crouches still as a statue, hardly breathes. The 12 fish suck in the air in frantic agony and silence. The boy sleeps on. Ernie slithers backwards, crawls out through the door. "Come with me, my lovely ones," he whispers. He hurries to his machines. "This won't hurt a bit," he says. He presses buttons, flicks levers, switches. He grins. He clenches his fists. He leaps with joy as the machines come back to vivid life and begin to do his work. Chapter 10. It's daylight when Stan wakes. There's no alarm, no hooter, no wakey-wakey. He rubs his eyes. "Am I late?" he says. Then he looks down into his deserted bucket. The single fish rises from its depths, and as its mouth goes "oh, oh, oh," Stan hears its voice somewhere in its brain. "My companions," weeps the fish. "Your companions," answers Stan. "Where are they?" The fish swims sideways, turns away its face. They are taken. "Taken? What do you mean, taken? Taken by who?" But there is no answer. The fish swims down to the bottom of the bucket in grief and silence. There is a cry from outside, a cry of dreadful joy, of triumph. "Yes, yes, yes!" "Oh no," cries Annie. "Yes," cries Ernie. Stan stands up, opens his door. His uncle turns to him. "Here it is," he cries, "our new line." And he holds up the little tin with the great golden writing on it. Pot's gorgeous, glittering goldfish. Okay, I'm going to have to stop there. Sorry, I know, not a very nice part of the story at all. But I promise it does get happier towards the end. We will continue tomorrow night, on Monday evening. I hope you have a lovely, peaceful and safe weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.